The fog rolled in thick over the city, wrapping everything in a shroud of gray. The faint glow of streetlights struggled to penetrate the mist, casting eerie shadows on the cobblestone streets. Detective Clara Hayes stood outside the abandoned warehouse, her breath forming small clouds in the chilly air. It was the perfect setting for a crime to unfold, but this time, it was a missing persons case that had brought her here. 24 hours earlier, Clara had received a frantic call from a distraught mother. Her daughter, Lily, a promising art student, had failed to return home after a late-night study session. Clara, known for her relentless pursuit of justice, took the case to heart. As she stepped inside the warehouse, the musty smell of damp wood and rusted metal greeted her. The building had been empty for years, a forgotten relic of the city's industrial past. Clara flicked on her flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness, illuminating scattered debris and remnants of old machinery. In the corner of the room, a canvas lay propped against the wall, half finished and splattered with paint. Clara's heart sank as she recognized Lily's signature style. This was where she had come to create, and now it felt like a crime scene. Kneeling beside the canvas, she noticed something strange. A series of messages scrawled in paint, almost as if they were meant for someone to find. "Help me," one message read, a desperate plea that sent chills down her spine. Clara quickly took out her notebook, jotting down the words, knowing they would be crucial in understanding what had happened to Lily. Suddenly, a noise echoed from the back of the warehouse, pulling Clara from her thoughts. She instinctively reached for her service weapon, her heart racing. As she crept toward the sound, the air thick with tension, she wondered what secrets the warehouse held and whether she was about to uncover the truth or walk into a trap. Little did she know, the clock was ticking, and every moment spent in this dark place brought her closer to a web of deceit that would test her resolve and unravel the very fabric of the city she thought she knew. The unsettling noise turned out to be nothing more than a stray cat scurrying away from Clara's approach. Still, the tension lingered, a reminder that danger often lurked in the shadows. She took a deep breath and continued her search, determined to find any clues about Lily's whereabouts. Clara scanned the dimly lit corners of the warehouse, her flashlight sweeping across the walls. The flickering light caught something, a photo pinned to a bulletin board, yellowed with age. It was a picture of a group of students from the nearby art college, all smiles and carefree laughter. Clara recognized Lily among them, her vibrant energy shining through even in stillness. But as Clara studied the photo, she felt a twinge of unease. One face in the background caught her eye. A young man with an intense gaze, his expression unreadable. Something about him felt off, a dark undercurrent hidden behind his charming smile. "Who are you?" Clara whispered to herself, her instincts kicking in. She snapped a picture of the photo with her phone, hoping it might lead her to someone who could provide answers. Leaving the warehouse, Clara headed straight to the art college. The sun was beginning to rise, casting an orange hue across the sky. She parked her car and made her way through the campus, her mind racing with possibilities. At the main building, Clara approached a group of students gathered around a table. They were discussing their projects, but as she introduced herself, the chatter fell silent. "Has anyone seen Lily?" Clara asked, her voice steady but urgent. One student, a tall girl with short hair, stepped forward. "She was supposed to meet us last night, but she never showed. We thought she was just busy with her work." Clara felt a surge of frustration. Did she mention anything about meeting anyone? The girl hesitated, then shook her head. But she did mention something strange a few weeks ago. Some guy from an art class, who seemed overly interested in her work. She found it creepy. "Do you remember his name?" "Yeah, I think it was Ryan. He always hung around the studio, watching her paint." Clara's mind raced as she jotted down the name. "Where can I find him?" "I think he usually sketches in the park near the campus," the girl replied. "But be careful. He's kind of unpredictable." As Clara left the college, she felt the weight of the case pressing down on her. The shadows of Lily's disappearance were deepening. And with each new lead, she was drawn deeper into a world of secrets and lies. She made her way to the park, her senses heightened, knowing that the answers she sought could either bring her closer to Lily or lead her into a more dangerous game. Upon arriving, she spotted a figure sitting on a bench, sketching furiously. It was Ryan. Clara approached cautiously, her heart racing. She needed to get inside his head, to understand what he knew about Lily and whether he was friend or foe. "Ryan." She called out, her voice steady despite the tension in her gut. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. "Detective Hayes, right? What brings you here?" Clara forced a smile, hiding her suspicion. "I need to ask you some questions about Lily. She's gone missing, and I hear you were in touch with her recently." As she took a seat beside him, she knew that unraveling Ryan's story might hold the key to finding Lily, and perhaps uncovering the truth hidden beneath the surface of the art world they both inhabited. Ryan shifted nervously on the bench, his pencil pausing mid-sketch. Clara studied him closely, noting the way his hands trembled slightly. "I just want to know what happened to Lily. Did she mention anything unusual to you?" He hesitated, glancing around as if worried someone might overhear. "We talked a little. She mentioned feeling watched, like someone was following her. I didn't think much of it at the time. You know how it is, art students get paranoid." Clara's instincts flared. Do you know who she was talking about? Anyone in particular? Ryan shook his head, but his expression shifted, revealing a flicker of guilt. She mentioned a few guys who would hang around her studio, but she never named names. Just said they made her uncomfortable. Clara leaned in closer. What about you, Ryan? Did you ever feel like someone was lurking around? He met her gaze, his eyes darting. No, not really. But I did see someone once. A guy with dark hair, always in the background when she was painting. I thought he was just another student. Did you get a good look at him? Not really, he admitted, frustration creeping into his voice. He never spoke to anyone, just stared. I thought it was weird, but I figured he was just a shy artist. Clara scribbled down his words, sensing there was more beneath the surface. Did you ever confront him? No, Ryan said quickly, his voice rising. I didn't want to get involved. I thought maybe he was harmless, just appreciating art from afar. Clara narrowed her eyes. Harmless or creepy? Ryan looked away, the weight of unspoken thoughts heavy in the air. I don't know. I wish I could help more, but I barely knew Lily. She was just so talented. It's hard to believe anything bad could happen to her. Clara's phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting the moment. She pulled it out to see a message from her partner, Detective Malik. Got a lead on a surveillance camera near the warehouse. Check your email. Excuse me, she said, standing up. I need to take this. As she stepped away, she felt Ryan's eyes on her, a mix of anxiety and fear etched on his face. She glanced back, wondering if he was hiding something, if there was more to his story than he was letting on. Once outside, she quickly accessed her email. A video link awaited her, and she clicked it, her heart racing as the footage loaded. The grainy image showed the exterior of the warehouse from the night before. Clara leaned in closer, scanning for any signs of Lily or suspicious figures, and then she saw it. A shadowy figure lingering near the entrance, a glimpse of dark hair, and a hoodie pulled low over his face. The timestamp confirmed it was just hours before Lily vanished. Clara's pulse quickened. This was the lead she needed. She immediately returned to Ryan, who was now standing, fidgeting with his sketch pad. Did you see that? She asked, urgency spilling into her voice. Someone was at the warehouse last night, right before Lily disappeared. I need to know if you recognize him. Ryan's expression shifted from concern to confusion as Clara showed him the still frame from the video. He squinted, his brow furrowing. I don't know. Maybe. It looks familiar. Familiar how? Clara pressed, her eyes narrowing. Like someone who used to hang around the campus. But I can't put a name to it, he replied, frustration evident in his tone. Do you know where I might find him? Clara asked. Not ready to let this lead slip away. Ryan hesitated, chewing on his lip. There's a gallery opening tonight. It's a big deal for students. He might be there. I think I saw him a few times in the crowd. Clara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. Thank you, Ryan. This could be the breakthrough we need. As she walked away, her gut twisted with unease. If this figure had been watching Lily, it meant someone had been stalking her, someone who might still be out there. She was getting closer to the truth, but the deeper she dug, the more dangerous the situation became. That night, she would face whoever this shadowy figure was, and she wouldn't stop until she found Lily. The evening air buzzed with excitement as Clara arrived at the art gallery, a chic venue nestled in the heart of the city. The space was alive with the chatter of patrons, the clinking of glasses, and the rustle of fabric as elegantly dressed attendees moved between exhibits. Clara adjusted her blazer, steeling herself for what lay ahead. She scanned the crowd, searching for the dark-haired figure from the surveillance footage. The gallery was filled with art students, their vibrant works adorning the walls. But her focus was entirely on finding the lead that could unravel this case. Spotting Ryan in the crowd, Clara made her way over. Did you see him? She asked, her voice low amidst the noise. Ryan shook his head, a flicker of worry crossing his face. Not yet. But it's a big crowd. He could be anywhere. Stay close, Clara said. If you see someone who looks suspicious, let me know. As she moved through the gallery, she caught snippets of conversations, discussions about art techniques, upcoming exhibitions, and rumors swirling about the students' works. But all she could think about was Lily and the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Just then, a figure caught her eye. A tall man with dark hair, wearing a black hoodie, was lingering near one of the larger paintings, his face partially obscured. Clara's heart raced as she approached, noting his tense posture and the way he kept glancing around, as if searching for someone. Excuse me, Clara said, her tone authoritative. Can I ask you a few questions? The man turned, surprise etched on his features. Ah, sure. What's this about? I'm Detective Hayes, and I'm investigating the disappearance of Lily Carter. I have reason to believe you might know something about it. His expression hardened. I don't know anything about her. I'm just here to look at the art. Clara studied him closely, not buying his defensive demeanor. You were seen near the warehouse last night. You should come with me for a chat. Before he could respond, Ryan appeared at her side, his eyes wide with recognition. Wait. That's Jake. He's in the same art program as Lily. He's not dangerous, he just kept to himself. Clara didn't let her guard down. Jake, what were you doing at the warehouse? I was just sketching, he stammered, his gaze shifting nervously. I like the way it looks at night. It's just peaceful. Peaceful. Clara pressed, unconvinced. Or was there something more going on? Did you know Lily was there? He swallowed hard, his eyes darting to the exit. I didn't know she was there. I swear. Ryan stepped forward, concern etched on his face. Jake, you need to tell her the truth. If you were there, you have to say why. Jake shifted uncomfortably. I saw her once, a few weeks ago. She was working late. I thought about talking to her, but I never did. I didn't want to intrude. Clara sensed a hint of something deeper. But you were there last night. You saw something, didn't you? He hesitated, guilt flickering across his face. I saw a guy. A tall man with dark hair. He was arguing with her. I didn't want to get involved, so I stayed hidden. I thought it was just a bad situation. Clara's pulse quickened. What did they argue about? I don't know, Jake replied, his voice barely above a whisper. But it didn't look good. When I realized it was getting heated, I left. I didn't think she'd be in danger. Did you get a good look at him? Clara pressed, feeling the weight of urgency in her chest. Not really. I was too far away. I just saw the two of them. The guy was intense, like he was trying to intimidate her. Clara's thoughts raced. Did you see which direction they went? Jake shook his head, panic rising in his eyes. No. I was too scared. I thought she could handle herself. Clara turned to Ryan. We need to get more information. If Jake is right, this might be the key to finding her. As Clara began to walk away, Jake called after her, desperation in his voice. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Stop right there, Clara said, turning back. If you know anything else, now is the time to tell me. If you don't, I'll have to take this to the precinct. Jake's face paled, the weight of his choices crashing down on him. I didn't want to get involved. But I'll help. I'll do whatever it takes. With that, Clara knew they were getting closer to uncovering the truth. The pieces were falling into place, but with every revelation, she felt the stakes rising. Whoever was behind Lily's disappearance was still out there, and it was only a matter of time before they struck again. The gallery buzzed with excitement, but Clara's heart was heavy with urgency. Jake had reluctantly agreed to accompany her to the warehouse to retrace his steps, and Ryan insisted on joining them. The three of them drove through the city, the night air thick with tension. As they approached the warehouse, Clara's mind raced with possibilities. The confrontation between Lily and the mysterious man weighed heavily on her thoughts. She needed to piece together the fragments of the night Lily disappeared. Arriving at the warehouse, Clara flicked on her flashlight, illuminating the dark corners and the familiar canvas that had haunted her since the start of the investigation. "Jake, show me exactly where you saw them." He stepped forward, visibly trembling. "It was right over there, near the back door. I was hiding behind that old crate." He pointed, his voice shaking. "I saw them arguing. I should have done something." Clara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You're here now. Let's figure this out." As they moved cautiously, Ryan noticed something on the ground, a scrap of fabric caught on a jagged piece of metal. "Look." He knelt to examine it, and Clara's heart sank. It was a torn piece of clothing, light-colored, likely from Lily's jacket. "This has to be hers," Clara said, her voice firm. "We're getting closer." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance, sending a wave of adrenaline coursing through Clara's veins. She turned to the others, her expression serious. "Stay close and be quiet." The footsteps grew louder, and Clara's grip tightened around her flashlight as she peered into the darkness. The beam caught a shadowy figure entering the warehouse, the same dark-haired man they had been seeking. He paused, scanning the room, his posture tense and alert. Clara motioned for Jake and Ryan to hide behind a nearby stack of crates, her heart pounding as she crept forward, intent on getting closer. The man's eyes narrowed as he began to move deeper into the warehouse, and Clara's instincts screamed that this was their chance. "Who are you?" The man called out, his voice echoing. "Show yourself." Clara took a deep breath. Stepping into the light. "I'm Detective Clara Hayes. You're going to answer some questions about Lily Carter." His expression shifted from surprise to anger. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Enough." Clara shot back. "You were seen here last night. You were arguing with her." The man's eyes darted, calculating his next move. "I don't have to talk to you. I wasn't doing anything wrong." "Wrong or right, she's missing," Clara pressed. "And I want to know what happened." Just then, a loud crash came from behind them. Ryan, unable to contain his fear, stumbled, knocking over a stack of paint cans. The noise echoed, reverberating through the warehouse, and the man's gaze shifted toward the sound. Seizing the moment, Clara lunged forward. "You're not going anywhere." The man reacted instinctively, pushing past her and sprinting toward the exit. "Get back!" he shouted, glancing back as he dashed toward the door. Without thinking, Clara chased after him, her training kicking in as she sprinted through the maze of crates and equipment. The man was quick, but Clara was determined. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the dark space. "I won't let you go." Just as he reached the door, Clara tackled him to the ground, the two of them crashing onto the cold floor. "You're not getting away that easily," she exclaimed, wrestling to pin his arms behind him. He struggled, but Clara had the advantage of surprise. Within moments, Ryan and Jake joined her, helping to restrain him. Clara quickly pulled out her handcuffs, securing his wrists. "Who are you?" she demanded, breathing heavily. "What did you do to Lily?" "I didn't do anything," he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "I just wanted to talk to her." "Talk?" Clara replied, incredulous. "Is that what you call it? Because witnesses say you were arguing." "I was trying to warn her," he insisted, panic rising. "There are people after her, people I can't protect her from." Clara's mind raced. "What do you mean? Who?" Before he could respond, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder. Clara glanced at Ryan and Jake, who were both wide-eyed. "We need to get him out of here before the police arrive." As they dragged him to a nearby corner, Clara pressed him for answers. "You have to tell me. If you know where Lily is, we can help her." "I swear. I didn't want her to get involved in this. There's a group that targets students, taking their work, threatening them. I tried to get her to stop painting there, but she wouldn't listen." The weight of his words settled over Clara. "Where is she?" "Last I saw, they took her to the old factory on the outskirts of town." "Please, you have to hurry." The sirens grew closer, and Clara knew they were out of time. "We'll find her," she vowed, adrenaline surging through her veins. "But you're going to jail for obstructing this investigation." As the police arrived, Clara handed off the man to her colleagues, her mind already racing with the next steps. With a renewed sense of purpose, she turned to Ryan and Jake. "We're going to the factory now." They hopped in Clara's car, racing through the night toward the location the man had given them. As they arrived, the factory loomed in the darkness, a haunting silhouette against the starry sky. "Stay close," Clara instructed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They stepped out of the car, the tension palpable in the air. Every instinct screamed that they were about to confront something dangerous. As they approached the factory, Clara felt a rush of determination. They would find Lily and bring her home. The stakes were high, but she wouldn't back down. Inside the factory, Clara's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing abandoned machinery and eerie silence. "Lily," she called, her voice echoing. "If you can hear me, we're here to help." A faint voice responded, muffled and distant. "Help. Please." Clara's heart raced as she followed the sound, urgency pushing her forward. "We're coming." Finally, they reached a dimly lit room at the back of the factory. Clara burst through the door to find Lily tied to a chair, panic etched on her face. "Lily." Clara rushed forward, quickly assessing the situation. "I'm here. You're safe now." Lily's eyes widened as Clara worked to free her. "I thought I'd never get out of here." Just then, footsteps echoed behind them, and the man who had been watching Lily stepped into the room, a menacing smile on his face. "You shouldn't have come here, Detective." Clara's instincts flared as she moved to shield Lily. "Get away from her." With a flash of courage, Jake stepped forward, a paint can raised like a weapon. "Leave her alone." The man hesitated, sizing up the situation. But Clara knew they had the upper hand. "You're outnumbered," she declared. "You're not going to hurt anyone else." With the sound of approaching sirens growing louder outside, the man's bravado faltered. Clara's heart raced as she readied herself for whatever came next. "Enough," he shouted, realizing he was cornered. "I didn't want this to happen. I just wanted control." Before he could react, Clara lunged, tackling him to the ground, the struggle fierce, but short-lived. Ryan and Jake rushed to help, securing the man until the police burst through the door. The officers quickly took control, cuffing the man and pulling him away from the scene. Clara turned to Lily, relief flooding her as she helped her to her feet. "You're safe now. We're going to get you out of here." As the police handled the situation, Clara glanced at Ryan and Jake, gratitude swelling in her heart. "Thank you both for your bravery. We did it." Lily's eyes glistened with tears of relief as she looked at Clara. "I thought I was lost. Thank you for finding me." As they exited the factory into the cool night air, Clara felt a wave of emotion wash over her. They had uncovered the truth, faced danger, and emerged victorious. But she also knew this was just the beginning. The shadows of the past still loomed, but together, they would face whatever came next, united by the bond forged through this harrowing experience. With Lily safe and the mystery unraveled, Clara knew one thing for certain. They would continue to seek justice for those who couldn't find it themselves. And as the sirens faded into the distance, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. The fight against darkness was far from over, but she was ready to take it on, one case at a time.